Hello, everybody. Rostermania is upon us for Season 10. Really quick before we start the video, my Streamlabs OBS for some reason would not load, so I had to quickly download OBS Studio. So if there's any problems, let me know. I tried to test, and I didn't really notice any, so hopefully this video works out perfectly, but we'll see. But the main thing we got to talk about is so far this Rostermania between Season 9 and Season 10 has been insane, and it's probably just the beginning so far. So it's going to be really fun to see how this all pans out. That's why I put part 1 of question mark, but we're going to go over what has happened so far for the rosters in North America and Europe for the RLCS teams. Now, the reason why we're doing this now is because Johnny Boy's Fusion Tournament, where teams have signed up to play in a mixture of 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3 modes. So we talked about the good and the bad of that tournament on a previous video, but that is why teams have now had to kind of force their hand to sign up with whoever they're playing with right now. So that's why we can make this video. Otherwise, it probably would have been like everyone's in the dark and who knows what would have happened. So that is a good thing. So let's get into what has happened so far in North America, and then we'll go through Europe, which is a little bit more crazy. So in case you haven't been keeping track, I'll try and run you through everything that I know. I might miss a thing here or there, and if that does happen, just leave it in the comments below. And also let me know what your favorite roster move is, or maybe the roster move that is right now scratching your head. So let's get it started with the same rosters. So these teams have not made any changes as of right now. Again, there's no signups yet for Season 10. No one knows when that's coming. So these things can still change. G2 and Energy, they are the same. That is very likely. You don't see a change happening there. Space Station, again, I think that's also a very likely one. Cloud9 is one of those teams that's been on that rumor mill since even last season, where it seemed like they were trying to get rid of Torment. I got an itch in my back. Okay. But maybe they've reconciled and now things are looking good for them. Who knows? Or maybe they will still make a move. Maybe it's not Torment. Maybe it's someone else. Who knows? As of right now, Cloud9 is the same. And the Sonics, they are still the same. Maybe this one might be the most surprising, I think, just because of how they ended their season. Then the Spring Series qualifiers also did not go their way. So there could have been a reason for a change there. But nothing has happened yet. And this might also be, the camaraderie on that team where they had a team house. They were hanging out together. So the Sonics right now, they're still the same. But I could see that one also changing. Like Cloud9 and Sonics, I'm not sold on being the same. And then Affinity, they just made it to the RLCS. They have stayed the same. I would expect that to stay the same unless maybe someone gets dropped that is high quality and then maybe they make a move. But usually the teams that just move up, they don't generally make those moves. So we'll see what happens there. Now for the new rosters, and this is where it gets interesting. So I put these in order of what I think is the best moves as of right now. Now, I don't know if all these are going to be confirmed. Reynolds going to Envy is absolutely huge. I feel like this team now in Envy is like one roster move away from winning a DreamHack. They're so close. They just need to pick up Gyro for Atomic, and they're good to go. But Reynolds, after they booted Mist off the team, they decided on AJ. He now leaves that squad to join back up with Mist and to join Atomic on Envy. This one is huge because I did feel like Reynolds was a highlight for me on Pittsburgh Knights for this entire season. Like AJ had his troubles and Gyro had his troubles. Reynolds, though, I think was a rock, and he has surpassed my expectations of what I thought I would see from him. Like even from the season prior where they finished number 2, I still think Reynolds has just elevated his game, in my opinion. Now, maybe it's just because he had to carry what was around him, and that makes him look better. It's possible. But I think this Envy squad now is definitely a North America regional contender, as well as a world championship contender. I think this might be the best move out of all roster moves. Maybe. It's kind of hard to compete with Astral in Europe, but we'll get to him in a little bit. But Reynolds, huge move here for Envy. And I think this will cement them into... Well, I was going to say, it cements them into top 4, but when you look at the teams are good right now. Space Station's good. Cloud9 is good. Rogue is good. So I wouldn't say that necessarily. Now, there's some teams I did not mention on that. We'll get to them in a little bit. But Turinturo, moving over to Rogue, we've seen this already in the Spring Series. So far, it's worked out for them. 2 young guys around Kronovi. We'll see if that continues to do well. Now, they were basically 2 days away from this move not looking that great so far, where the team that did qualify for Spring Series, one of the guys was not 15 yet. He turned 15 2 days too late. So they had to forfeit their spot. Rogue gets the spot. They make this incredible lower bracket run, and they finish third. That might have not happened. So I think there's still some question marks around Rogue to see if they will continue to play this well. Turinturo at First Killer, they seem like they're getting along. They just played in a 2v2 hoops tournament last night at the time of this recording, and they won that for like $1,000 for the Astro tournament. So it seems like they're getting along, which is a good sign. The next move is Memory getting picked up and moved to E United for Roll Diz. This move, Memory, I think, lost a lot of stock for me over this last season. I feel like he was possibly the worst player on Flight. Throughout most of it, he was very, very quiet throughout the season. Now, this could be just play style differences between the guys, but I wasn't a big fan of what he did last season. It could have just been one down season, because before that, like, I've been relatively high. Even when we talked about these Rostermanias last season, I was like, I'm not sure if Memory and Mist, like, if Mist is that much better than Memory. And obviously, I was wrong there, and Mist has elevated his game. Memory has not. But Memory, like, I feel like this has to be his last call, right? His last chance at the RLCS. And if this doesn't work, then we got issues. Now, E United is one of those teams I don't have high hopes for necessarily as well. So this could be a very difficult Season 10. That's if this stays the same. Obviously, Memory to E United, I'm not sure if he's officially signed. I can't remember if that has happened yet. But the only one that I know is, like, super official, Turinturo to Rogue. Reynolds to Envy is, like... Reynolds is on loan from Pittsburgh Knights and all that stuff, so it's not, like, super official yet. Like, that move I expect to happen. Memory to E United, I expect that one to happen as well. That one might be confirmed. I might have missed it. Turinturo to Rogue is confirmed. Now, Auraz to PK, he joins from Stromboli, who just missed out in the promotion tournament. This one, I think, is more of, like, a trial period, like, in this Fusion tournament. And... like, as long as Pittsburgh Knights, they still have time to find players. I think this could change. It depends on how he performs. Like, he obviously did well through the rival series to earn this chance. I just don't know if that is 100%, like, he's going to be on Pittsburgh Knights. So I would look out for that. So some things that I always like to look at so far. Now, again, we're not at roster lock or anything like that when I usually do Rostermania, but there's been so many moves. People are so confused that I figured I would do it right now. Players gained into the RLCS. Turinturo, he joins from the Charlotte Phoenix. Memory joins from Flight, because Flight, they did get demoted, being in that 10th place spot. Then Auraz, he joins from Stromboli. Players lost Wonder. He got kicked from Rogue, and we haven't really seen him come back up yet. We'll see. I believe he does have a team for Johnny Boy's tournament. For some reason, I'm thinking it's with Tyler and someone else, but I don't have the name in my head right now, so I could be wrong with that. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's Wonder, Illusion, and Tyler. And not Tyler, I think. Roll Diz, he was kicked from E United. He says he's going to retire. He's basically done with competitive Rocket League. We'll see if that sticks. You know, a lot of people say that after getting kicked. But so far, it seems to be holding true. And then Illusion, kicked from Envy. Now, he's one of the players, I think... like, out of all these players, like, between Wonder, Roll Diz, and Illusion, I think Illusion has the best chance to make a comeback. Because, like, he has surpassed my expectations as well. For the longest time when he was on Ghost and all that stuff, I thought he was the one who should have got kicked for a while when they do their rotating rosters. Like, I thought Memory was the one who should have stayed and all that stuff. But Illusion's been getting better and better. The one problem with Illusion is he's got the ability. It's just he doesn't show it all the time. There are series where he's just like, did the casters even say his name? Like, throughout an entire series. That happens occasionally from Illusion. So the inconsistency could hurt him, but I think he is a very talented player. And if he's not in the RLCS, I expect him near the top of the rival series for sure. He should be a pickup that people are looking out for. But yeah, that's about it for these rosters for North America. But I think Reynolds to Envy is fantastic. I think with him like moving up with Atomic, it's going to be a nasty duo. Mist will probably play that third line, even though he left Pittsburgh Knights to not play the third man. Well, guess what, Miss? You're probably going to be playing a lot of third man. Turinturo, he has shown how talented he is on Charlotte. Now he gets some more chances on Rogue. I think that is a pretty solid move as well. Maybe even better than Reynolds to Envy, just because Turinturo, I feel like, is a step above Wonder. I think Illusion is not as far down, in my scale compared to Wonder. But Reynolds is such a good pickup, and he was one of my big surprises from last season of I almost wanted to put him in my top 3 MVP voting. If somehow they squeaked into playoffs, he probably would have been in my top 3 MVP voting just because of how good he was for that team. Memory to E United, I'm not really sold on this move. I feel like it's maybe slightly better than Rolled is, maybe, but it doesn't change how E United plays in my mind, and I think E United's going to be stuck on defense a lot like they pretty much always have been, so I don't think it really changes much there. And then Alvarez, I just haven't really seen enough of him, so I'm putting him down here with PK, and we'll see how that one works out. So that's how I would grade those rosters so far in order. We won't do letter grades, but we'll just compare versus one another. Now let's go over to Europe. Europe's weird. I have to move my camera too just a little bit. We'll go more in the middle here for this one. But Europe is weird because there's some roster moves that are technically not confirmed, even though big news outlets have been reporting on them. So we're going to kind of talk through this one a little bit. Let's go to the same rosters. And I know this is a little bit weird, but we're going to talk about it. Vitality. We all knew that they were going to be the same roster. They dominated Europe. They had basically one bad series, or 2 bad series. One versus Team Singularity during the season. One versus Dignitas in that grand final. But they bounced back in the spring series. And that's the thing that I always find weird is when people are like, Dignitas, they're probably number 1 in the world, something like that. It's guys, I understand that they did beat Vitality, but sometimes you just have to look at the bigger picture. It's are they better than Vitality? I don't know. And I was never on that boat. It's one of the few things I got right, I guess. I was always really hard on Vitality being the better team, even when they lost to Dignitas. It kind of showed during that spring series. Who knows, though? Maybe if Dignitas was playing better on that day, they could have took them down again. But I think Vitality wins that series 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. So Vitality, they're the same roster. Now, Dignitas. Now, here's the thing. For the Fusion Tournament, for anything official on Twitters or anything, they have not announced this. Astral is still on the team. Now, ESPN has reported that Astral is off the team, joining Oxygen. And then Jorius is the very likely candidate for Dignitas, coming from, I believe it was the Clappers during the spring series. And that'll be his first eligible season. He turned 15 in March. So that is what people are saying, but nothing is official. So I'm leaving Dignitas in the same roster category here. The other one, Oxygen, we just talked about. Fruity would be the one removed from that squad. And then Astral comes in. So now it would be a full French team, at least French-speaking team. And that could be a deadly duo, Chaussette and Astral. And Farrah backing that up. That could definitely be a little crazy. I didn't put them in roster grades. We'll get back to them when we talk about roster grades, just because, one, I couldn't fit 8 out of 10 rosters anyway in the new roster, so we kept them over here for now. But that is what is likely happening, but nothing is officially confirmed. So keep that in mind. Finally, Solari. They're staying the same. You don't have to worry about them. Moving on. Oops, I was supposed to go to the left. That's what I was supposed to do. So new rosters. Scrub to Team Singularity. Now, this is a tryout period. They haven't officially signed him or anything like that, but he's trying out for them during this Fusion tournament. Scrub lost a little bit of stock, He was on Vitality on that World Championship team. Then they make the grand finals. He's still a very talented player. For Mouse, it wasn't really clicking, but I do feel like with Mouse, they turned a corner towards the end of the Scrub era. And I think, honestly, Mouse could have made that run that they did make anyway with Scrub. But who knows? No one will ever know, right? Scrub's lost a little stock because of that, because of the contract issues with Mouse. I think a lot of orgs might be a little bit hesitant just because of all right, well, you've had issues in the past. It might be a little bit difficult to put you on a squad. But Team Singularity, they're taking a chance. And obviously, he's a very good player. So he definitely deserves that shot. It's just, even being a very good player, he still has lost a little bit of stock because of that. But I would still rate Scrub incredibly highly. So that's why they are my number 1 roster move there. Now, Arju to Mouse. Now, this is the question mark because there's a lot to unpack here. So first I'm going to talk about like Arju, he came in as a sub throughout the season, so that's why I put him in the new roster category of like he was technically a sub, now would be a starter. But then, now here's like, I think honestly one of the worst PR things that I've seen from a team. Like maybe not the worst, but it was bad. It was bad. How do you go into a spring series and you're like, you know what? We're going to have a video announcement for Arju. But the video announcement says he's not on the team yet. He's got to play well in the spring series. Like, why even do an announcement then? Why have Speed do that? Then Speed on stream leaks his Steam messages saying he wasn't happy with how Mouse played with Arju right after the spring series. And it's just like, come on, guys. Like, this is why you don't make a video. It's like about a player unless you're bringing them to the team. It's like, no, you know what? This deserves an announcement. Everyone knew Arju was playing for Mouse for the spring series. They just didn't know, will he be on the roster? It's like, well, if he does well, guys, he will be on the roster. What is that video even supposed to mean? I don't understand. That video was very confusing to me. And then obviously the worst thing happened. Arju didn't play that well, and now it's looking like the rumors are saying that now we got Fruity, who got kicked from Oxygen, will be joining Mouse Sports. Now, who knows? He's trying out for them. It's not necessarily a done deal, but that is what is looking like is happening. Now, again, this is part one of the Rostermania videos. We'll be talking about them in the future. But Arju, he earned his due throughout the regional championship. Didn't play that well in the spring series. I'd probably move him down further, but I kind of have it as probably Fruity to Mouse. And I would probably actually put them below Metza to Endpoint, like in terms of grading. But they're there for the time being. Next up, Metza to Endpoint. So far, this has worked out well. I'm not completely sold on this Endpoint squad. It's fun to watch, and they kind of had an easier road throughout that spring series to get that third place. Now, obviously, that's the road that they had to compete in. And Canyons, they took out Dignitas. They did finish top 4. Still a solid win, but I'm still not completely sold. Like, they're not a team that I'm going to be like, you know what, they're top 3 in Europe. That's not happening right now. They have a very unique play style. Like, I like the pickup of Metza because of what they were trying to do. It's a very smart pickup. But Metza has shown that at times he hasn't been that great when he was on TSM. So we'll see if this is a new Metz which I think happens a lot to players where they get into a new environment and they just play better. They like get back on that grind because they want to wake up and they're excited to play with their team again. So it could very well happen. I'm just not completely sold on Endpoint. Like, I still think like if we had an RLCS season right now this is with the roster moves not completely done, I probably wouldn't have Endpoint as a top 4 team. Probably wouldn't have him at the World Championship, but it's still a pretty good move. The Notch Tao, he's coming from Endpoint, going to BDS, and this is a move that I think a lot of people are a little bit upset about because ClayX is losing out on that guaranteed RLCS money, which is something that I have talked about a lot in the past. Players need to protect themselves. It's not really up to Psyonix, just when you form teams, guys, just write a contract out really, really quick saying, hey, if we ever have a chance for guaranteed money in the following season, I want at least half of that money. Then whoever joins your team can get the other half. Simple as that. That they can play for a little bit less money. But players, they don't bother, which is fine. Whatever. It's just, it sucks when a player loses out on a guaranteed, like $9,000 for ClayX. So, unfortunate for him. Then Archie to Veloce, one of my favorite players to watch in the spring series. I kind of like this move because I think Veloce has always fallen prey to playing on defense. They did change that a bit this past season. Now, I don't know if this is a leadership change because obviously the team was led by Freaky and they just need like a different attitude in there. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but Freaky, he also had a lot of health issues recently. Probably couldn't focus that hard on Rocket League recently. So hopefully he gets better and he can bounce back and, either form a new team or whatever he has to do. But obviously health comes first. So we're all hoping Freaky that everything gets back to 100% as soon as possible. So maybe they make the move because they couldn't scrim with him. Maybe they make the move because they just want like an attitude adjustment for the squad because they didn't have great spring series qualifiers where they finished in like 19th or something like that. So I think Veloce's always been one of those teams that's been like, they're on the cusp, but it's always been a big question mark of like, are they actually one of these teams or are they just playing well right now? So maybe they make a move to change it up. This move, I think, is questionable because you're bringing in a new guy. But I think Veloce, they were on the upswing. But I think, obviously, with the health-related issues, maybe that hurts them a bit. They were looking better than I thought they looked when they made the World Championship. Then they just kind of fell apart towards the end. This move kind of spells to me that we just need to make a change. We don't know what to fix yet, and no one wants to join us just yet. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. I'm not really sold on this move just yet, but we'll have to see it in person. Next up, we got, to be determined, that's not an actual player, to Barca. They haven't picked up anyone yet. Flakes has left the team, so they're looking to fill that spot. I think for Barca, losing Flakes could be a huge detriment. The problem is, so I wasn't huge on Barca throughout the season, compared to everyone else. I was very against them, and then they obviously make top 4, but then have a terrible spring series, and I just think something has to change over there. I think they need to find someone that works well with Ronicky and just have Devo play that midfield line, and maybe that they can get some things going. I think this team needs more than just one roster move. I do think, I want to see Devo kind of pick up the pace a bit. I feel like Devo would have been on the chopping block if Flakes wanted to stay, just to change up that team. I feel like his defense has been questionable at times and just sometimes is a little bit invisible on that squad. But I don't know. We'll see, because I've seen players bounce back before, and every time I kind of point at a player, I'm like, he's probably the one that needs to go. I always want to see them just have a killer next season, because I want to be wrong. I always want to be wrong. Anyway, let's go over to players gained. Arju, that's a big question mark again. You can fill in Jorius there if you want for the Dignitas squad, which I think that one's probably the least confirmed, I think, right now. But who knows? Who knows? But it would be his first season eligible. Then Archie as well. First season, just turned 15. And Metzonoris, he joins from Karen, technically, not TSM. And I just wanted to write Karen. So there you go. Players lost. Godsmilla. He was kicked from SNG. Just put an exclamation point. Put a dot. Good to go. Congratulations, Godsmilla. The team was very happy to kick you. That's nothing against Godsmilla. It's just the tweet that came out was kind of bizarre. Sorry about the mouse pointer. Then you got Clay X. He was kicked from BDS. We haven't seen too much from him yet. And Flakes has left Barca. He wants to form his own team. Try and get two players on the same kind of, on the same level as him. That's probably not the right word, but the same mental strategy for a team. He just felt like he was at odds on Barca, so he wanted to try something new. So wishing Flakes the best, and we'll probably see him try and make a run through the rival series. I wouldn't be too surprised if he did make that run. So there you go. That is Rostermania so far. There will be plenty of more parts. Plenty of more. But for now, that is it for Europe. We will go over maybe in a couple weeks when things kind of start to settle. Who knows? Maybe we wait till Season 10 lock at this point and see how much of this has changed. But right now, here's where it is. Right now, it's in an unknown time where not too much stuff is announced besides the Johnny Boy tournament, so I think it's kind of hard to say that these will all be the same then. But it's an exciting time. Everyone is changing rosters. Everyone's trying to catch up to Vitality. Everyone's trying to catch up to G2. There's two top dogs in North America and then in Europe. And I think a lot of people know that. And it's going to be hard to pick up those pieces. The last thing I want to talk about real quick before we go is the Astral move, because I forgot to mention that in my grades here. But I would have the grades how I have it here, except for maybe Arju to Mouse or Fruity to Mouse, maybe below Meta to Endpoint, just because I like that they handpicked that move. So Astral leaving Dignitas, I think that's probably obviously outside the game more than inside the game necessarily, and I think that's obviously going to hurt Dignitas. I think bringing in Jorius, if that is the case, Valentine has shown that he can bring in a new player that he thinks is great and turn them into a star like Astral. Very possible. I would put them down probably dead last, honestly, just because Astral was such a key part of that team. When they had a chance to be Vitality, it's only if Astral was popping off. And maybe that's also why the team wasn't as good as they could have been. Because now with Astral off the team, maybe they can focus a little bit more in on some team plays and stuff to better Violent Panda, better Yukio, instead of Astral, like, hey, I'm going to take this ball, or like, he doesn't seem like he comms all that well from the few comm videos I've seen. So if you bring in someone that can learn how to do comms incredibly well, that's obviously going to help a player like Violent Panda, who's very smart on the field, and Yukio. So who knows? Maybe that will be better in Season 11 or something like that. I feel like Season 10, it's very hard to rate them as this is as an upgrade at this point. Then Oxygen, bring in Astral for Fruity. You got to put him at the top. I think they've needed to make a move for a while. I probably would have moved Fruity as well. Maybe Ferrer to move him to a coaching role. You could have done either one, but if you want that French connection, then you move Fruity. Now it just comes down to get Chaussette more involved, and let's see what he can do when he is more involved. And I think those are the two big questions. Because Ferrer, he's a player that actually plays on the offensive side a ton, which people don't realize. And that's, I think, because of just how this team works, where Chaussette plays very defensively. But if they can get him more involved with Astral, then they have two players that can take control of a series at any time. And Ferrer can just manage that. And if that's that is a very strong team. So that'll be very fun to watch. Now, I think that team could be incredibly inconsistent as well. So doesn't change much from what Oxygen was, I guess. But their highs are going to be insane. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them. But you got to put them at the top. Then I would put Scrub to Singularity probably right below that. But yeah, that's going to do it. Hopefully this video works. And hopefully you guys get to see it. And until next time, later.